This is QTV News and I am Marietu Sidibe. In this edition, President Barrow returns from the 5th Dakar International Forum for Peace and Security. The Constitutional Review Commission begins a 2-week public consultation. Tall food safety officials embark on sensitization exercise with street vendors. Those were our top stories and now the news in detail. President Adama Barrow has returned home from Dakar, where he attended the 5th Dakar International Forum on Peace and Security. The forum brings together heads of state, government representatives, experts and partners on peace and security. The theme of the forum is Peace and Security in Africa, Stakes of Sustainable Stability and Development. The 2-day forum provides the platform to discuss emerging security challenges and strategic issues in Africa, new approaches to defense, security and development policies, as well as African partnership with relevant organizations on building peace and security in the region. Shortly after his arrival, President Barrow spoke to QTV's Aliou Cissé.
It was an invitation from President Macky Sall, and it was a forum about peace and security. When you say peace and security in Africa, it is very, very important. We got the notice invitation, official invitation on Friday. But looking at the relationship between Gambia and Senegal, we took it upon ourselves to create time to be part of the forum. I gave a speech, and I was also among the panelists to discuss about how best we can work hard to secure this country, to maintain peace and stability in the continent. Okay. I think the European Union, the AU, the African, they are all part of countries that want to support at the bilateral level, at the multilateral level. You know, we even have technicians from UK, from France, from other places, especially in Africa. I think we have our 10 experts who are here to help us in our security sector reforms. And if we talk about reforms, I think this is the area we have to work very hard to build our capacity, enlighten our people, so that it can fit in a democratic society, knowing exactly our background. After 22 years, the system was polluted, we have to make the change, and it is now or never. It's very, very important, because you have technicians who are discussing about the best way, how to get this continent secured and this continent be stable. If we are not stable, we cannot grow our economy. If we are not stable, we cannot move on as a continent. And I think this forum is very, very important, and we have learned a lot from this forum.
The Constitutional Review Commission CRC Monday begins a 2-week in-country consultation tour. Essau and Fass NjagaChoi in the North Bank region were the first communities reached. The consultation is aimed at getting community participation, transparency, inclusiveness and ownership in the process. Momodu Gajaga is with the team and he now reports from Essau.
As the Gambia begins the process of reviewing the 1997 Constitution, engaging the public becomes paramount. Not only will a new constitution be seen as representing the will of the people, but could address issues such as citizenship. Answering the question of who is a Gambian and has the right to citizenship has become relevant in the Constitutional Review Commission's first consultation with the public in the North Bank region. To be a citizen under the current constitution, one has to meet the following eligibility requirements. Citizenship by birth, that is, born in the Gambia to Gambian citizens, parents, or whereas one of the parents is a Gambian. Citizenship by descent, born outside the Gambia to Gambian citizens, or where one of the parents is a Gambian. If a person in the Gambia is not a citizen by birth or by descent, he or she can apply for citizenship by naturalization. You can also become a citizen by registering. This refers to people married to Gambian spouses and also children born in the Gambia by non-Gambian parents. Not meeting one of the eligibility requirements could make one to become a stateless person. Questions are asked by the Constitutional Review Committee members to the public as to their opinion on the right to citizenship. Here is someone in a conversation with a CRC staff who said if you're born in the Gambia without your parents being citizens, you shouldn't be eligible to citizenship.
Non-Gambian parents.
Okay. Omar B. Sanko, a resident of Essau, said it's worrying how acquiring citizenship has become very easy in the Gambia, even for people who are not born in the country.
Citizen by birth is very important. Now, to review the Constitution on citizenship is well overdue, because in this country there are a lot of migrants coming into our country, and they are getting married to Gambian citizens here. So those people, they attended our schools, got their education up to higher levels, and are working within the government. But things like those things, we should look very close into it, like so that Gambia doesn't run into problems like what has happened in Mr. Ouattara's case in Ivory Coast.
There seems to be a growing need for a constitutional provision on presidential term limits. Omar B. Sanko thinks if this provision is included in the new constitution, it will give every citizen an opportunity to vie for the position of president.
Yes, I am very much in favor of that, so that other people will also be given the opportunity to do their quota in national development.
Justice Cherno Jallo, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Commission, said public consultation is an important pillar of the review process.
But it's absolutely significant. I mean, I think this is the first time we are engaging the Gambian people in such a countrywide basis and in a very comprehensive manner. And, giving the people the opportunity to really have a say in the design and building of their new constitution is a very significant step, certainly.
Mudu Gajaga, QTV News, Essau.
Officials of Food Control Directorate of the Food Safety and Quality Authority today commenced a 2-week sensitization exercise for market vendors within the Kanifing Municipality and West Coast region. The exercise is part of efforts to ensure that vendors observe the highest level of compliance to proper hygiene practices. It is on this backdrop that the team today visited Tipper Garage Market in Kotu, where officials engaged vendors on the mandate of the Food Safety and Quality Authority and the importance of adhering to good practices that will guarantee safety for consumers. Halimatu Balde is the Risk Communication Officer, and she spoke to QTV's Ansumana Esonyasi at the end of today's exercise.
What are some of the most pressing issues that you're faced with?
The most pressing issues that we are faced with in this country is the food handlers, especially those that sell food on the streets. These are one of the pressing issues because these are people that depend on these daily wages, daily selling for their living. But then these are people who are very difficult to manage. So these are people that we find very difficult to deal with. Today exercise, my assessment initially, what I will say is that we have seen a lot of uncompliance. We have seen a lot of people that are really, it's either they don't care or they don't know, but we have seen a lot of things that are not really satisfactory as far as food handling in the market is concerned. As you have seen, we were in Tipper Garage, we have seen how fish is handled there. The way it is handled is not really desirable, because the way they should handle their fish is to ensure that the fish is put in the cold chain throughout the selling period. But this, unfortunately, is not happening at the Tipper Garage. We've also seen the meat sellers, the way they expose their meat is not the least desirable, because that's not the best practice that we are really communicating to them. Why I did not confiscate today, because I will share that it is too early for me to act today. This is why I did not do any confiscation. But then I don't want to stop at that. I want to sensitize them first to make them feel our presence. Because it has been a long time, maybe we have not sensitized them. But as far as today's sensitization is concerned, we will, the next thing, as I said, is for us to act, and we will start confiscating. Because I think that is the only weapon, that is the only thing that these people can hear. As far as
but don't you think because you're not confiscating, that is why they're not complying?
Yeah, maybe one of the issues is that because in this country, people don't normally act until they see things in reality. I think this is it. We have not been confiscating for a long time. We have not been throwing their things, but these are things that these are the last resort that we always want to deal with food handlers. Although we have been doing this for a long time, food safety is not a totally new thing in this country. It has been ongoing since before you and I were born. And then the way things were handled is totally different. We don't just want to go to somebody's business and then start acting as if, they don't know anything. Our first objective is to ensure that they really know what they are doing. Because if you confiscate today and then the individual does not even know what he or she is supposed to do, you keep on confiscating and that will not solve the problem. But then confiscation is also part of our mandate. It's part of the exercises that we should do. Although we don't want just to resort to confiscating people's items and then throwing them along. No. But then it is going to be one of our exercises and we will do it.
What do you hope to achieve at the end of this exercise?
We want to achieve a lot. Number one, we want to achieve awareness creation. That is my number one objective. I want every food handler in this country to know food safety to their fingertips. Even when you wake them up in the morning and you ask them to name you the good hygienic practices, at least some tips of good hygienic practices, any food handler should be able to tell you how to wash their hands, how to put on aprons, where to register, where to go for health checks, and then how to maintain their environment clean. This is my number one objective, is to ensure that every food handler knows food hygiene, knows good hygienic practices, because that will help us. Because I cannot be at the market. Any other person cannot be at the market at any time of the day. But if they know what they are supposed to do and they are involved and they really care, that's the time we will achieve what we want, and this is our objectives.
Human remains and Asian artifacts dating back to the 18th century are on display at the Jenier Village Historic Museum. The items were dug up from an old well that was once a source of water during the war between Fodekaba Doumbouya and the people of Jenier. Babukar Sise reports.
The curiosity and the tenacity of the youth of Jenieri to know the truth about the Battle of Jenieri between Fodekaba Doumbouya and their ancestors has led them to a shocking discovery. As the museum curator explains, the items were unearthed from an old well situated within the remains of what was once a solidified fortress.
So okamala ndol funding chewul nata kafu nyoma pour kaji ko fo tariko men ka fo bang fo wala be kerim bam fo te kerim.
We heard that Fodekaba had once attacked this village, so we, the youth, decided to find out if that was true. Our elders just pointed the place to us, so we came together with some philanthropists and tried to do something about it. We dug up a 4-meter square in the area, and within 2 meters of digging, we discovered the well. So we continued to dig. It's indeed true that people, especially women, have committed suicide by jumping into the well, because we found human remains inside and even women's earrings. They built this fortress to shield themselves from the enemy. As Bukul Damfa explains, the inhabitants of Jenieri in those days were pagans, and Fodekaba Doumbouya attacked the villagers to convert them to Islam. The battle, he says, lasted for a year, and Fodekaba and his war generals were defeated and they fled to evade capture.
Fodekaba bejan anara jan shuk uruma insa tem bantaba tang anim fulale bejan ikamempo ibika laila kuma fodala.
The village was under siege by Fodekaba and his army. There were 12 Bantabas in this village, and they never worshipped the Muslim god. Drinking alcohol and using guns was their lifestyle. Fodekaba wanted to convert them to Islam, and he came with 12 rows of army generals. The battle went on for 12 months, and Fodekaba lost 9 rows of his generals. A general called Moti Sane nearly captured Fodekaba, but he was shot dead just as he was about to do so. That's when Fodekaba fled, with his remaining men. The objects found in this museum not only teach us about the weapons used during the war, but also what our ancestors believed in and how they lived. For example, a well called Jidi well, which means fertility in Mandinka, was also believed to have helped barren women who drank from it conceive. The traditional role of museums is to collect objects of historical importance, preserve them, research into them, and present them to the public. The Jenyeri Museum is in danger of losing that prestige. The round mud hut has a leaking roof and is infested with termites and spiders. This is all due to lack of finance to build better structures to house history. For QTV News, I am Babukar Sise.
The Secretary of the Association of Gambians in Milan, Italy, has disclosed that 30 young Gambians lost their lives in Italy in 2018. 28 of the corpses have been returned to the Gambia. He said one of the 2 dead bodies that are still in Italy is a murder case of stabbing which is now before the court. Mr. Dabo was speaking at a meeting with the visiting National Assembly member for Banjul North, Honorable Usman Silla. The Banjul North NAM is currently on 7 nations private European tour to engage with Gambians abroad. Mr. Silla said his visit is in line with discharging his representative and advocacy roles by meeting with Gambians in order to understand their issues and concerns. He recounted his experience with undocumented young Gambian migrants, describing their condition as pathetic and heartbreaking. Before we end this bulletin, we recap our main sub-stories. His Excellency Adama Barrow returned from a 2-day forum on peace and security. The forum held in Dakar discussed emerging security challenges and strategic issues in Africa, new approaches to defense, security and development policies, as well as African partnership with relevant organizations on building peace and security in the region. The Constitutional Review Commission kicked off their countrywide public consultation tour. The tour is aimed at creating inclusivity, transparency, amongst others in the Constitution review process. Officials from the Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia embarked on a sensitization exercise today. The sensitization program is one of a series of activities by the authority to ensure that vendors observe the highest level of compliance to proper hygiene practices. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news.